So Stuart Maister, 8 to 1961. So I was born the year Spurs last won the First Division. And I'm now 61 years old at the time of this filming. I was at Brady. I joined when I was 8, a year ahead of when I should have done so, 1969. And I was there till I left at 1978. The prime years I was at Brady. My father and all of his brothers were members of Brady Club. So my uncle Alf boxed for Brady before the war and was very well known. My dad less so. But he just knew that when I was at a certain age, I would join Brady Club because that's what you do, particularly if you're a boy from Jewish boy from East London, even all these years later. So he took me along to Brady when I was 8, should have been 9. I can't remember whether he lied and said I was 9, which is probably what my dad would have done, or whether he was honest and said, can he join? Because he's quite a mature 8-year-old, which I was. So, but anyway, Lowell Kosky, who ran the club at the point, signed me in. David Moss, I remember, was the miners' leader, and I became part of Brady Club. The key for me and all the people who were members at that point was we were all kids from living in flats in East London. And East London, this is obviously long before it was trendy and cool. It was then just grubby and horrible. To be involved in a place like this with the warmth, the camaraderie, the friendship, and particularly as some of us went on to a boys' school, a number of us went to Central Foundation Boys' School, so to be at a place where there were girls as well, massively important, massively impactful, hugely influential on our formative years. Many of us went to a boys' school. So to be involved with Brady generally meant to be exposed to girls. And this was an era where actually things like snogging and kissing and groping happened, I think, much younger than it even happens now, judging by my own kids. So, particularly the backgrounds we came from, obviously the entertainment was more limited. So the entertainment was found in the opposite sex. Personally, I failed hopelessly throughout my teens. So I was always the loser who didn't have a girlfriend, there was one famous time where I was playing records while all my friends were kissing on the beds with their girlfriends from Brady. They're all Brady boys and girls kissing, and I was the sap playing the records. So I was a much later starter, unfortunately, personally. Here at Skeet, there was a lot of snogging that went on, a lot of early fumbling and groping and discovery, not involving me, sadly, frustratingly. So I can only report what my friends told me they got up to. Unfortunately, at that stage in my life, I was hopeless. You have to remember when we talk about games that we were all kids from East London, from blocks of flats in the East End of London, which meant that we didn't have the space, the areas to explore. In my own case, my schools had concrete playgrounds. So to come to Skeet and play games in the grounds here, and of course the night games that we played, not just here, but out in the woods nearby. Well, we were roaming woods in the middle of the night. It's hard to imagine the experience of that, the contrast of that game playing in that sort of environment to our everyday lives in East London. I'm not trying to pretend they were hard or rough, but we were poor and we lived in public housing in East London. And then suddenly we're roaming woods, we're roaming the grounds of Skeet, playing games against each other, competing, trying to find the flag at night. This adventure, the sense of adventure that we had was extraordinary and transformative for us, because to suddenly go from this very small world of East London, our homes, our limited space, to huge amounts of space, the only chance most of us got to get into the countryside, was transformative. And the other thing was mass football games on the pitch. So mass football. I was useless at football, unfortunately, but we all just ran around kicking a ball. Again, just this sense of youthful energy, fun, space, greenery, beautiful environment, utterly different from our everyday lives. It really was an amazing experience. Now I think back on the effort and thought and love that was put into the games that we played by the leaders, many of whom were not much older than us. The real I've worked with my kids in scouts. Actually, I've gone out when they've gone scout camping and helped organise games and fun with them in scout camps. So I have some feeling now for just how much effort those guys put into our enjoyment, our pleasure. And I'm so grateful and humbled to think about that. Now, if I could give them all a hug now, I'd love to do that, because really they transformed our lives.